Check this out. Look at this. Look at that. Look at that. Welcome back, everybody, to VVR. Currently doing something a little bit different. I got a new chair and currently packing up everything. I'm beginning to move from my current place. So it's going to look a little different here for a little bit. But anyway, I got to see Scott Pilgrim vs. the World in theaters again. And my God, does it still hold up. It's actually has been one of my top 10 favorite movies of all time. And I own it obviously on Blu-ray, but it just doesn't compare to seeing this in the theater. The sounds, the soundtrack, everything about this movie is freaking awesome. The movie is directed by Edgar Wright and stars Michael Cera, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Anna Kendrick, Audrey Plaza. It's just a bunch of people, and it's just a quality cast. This movie, if you guys don't know, is based on a comic book from the same name, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, and also has a video game out. And when this movie first came out in 2010, I had no idea what it was even about. All I knew is that it had video game references in it, and that's pretty much all I knew about it. And I'm like, oh, of course, I love video games. I love Mario. I love Zelda. I got I got a Zelda tattoo right here. So yeah, I was a huge fan of those things, and that's kind of what this genre encompasses. It's a video game genre made live action movie. When I first saw this movie in 2010, I was just in awe. I saw this movie in theaters like a dozen times, and obviously when the Blu-ray came out, I immediately bought that. I saw all the deleted scenes, and I just kept falling in love with this movie. It's one of my favorite movies ever. When the video game came out, I played that. Like, I bought the record, I bought the movie, I bought the video game, and I've loved everything about it. The best way I could describe this movie is if you went on an acid trip and went to a rock concert. That's pretty much the best way I could describe this movie. That's probably a horrible analogy. Not only is this movie edited perfectly, you know exactly what you're getting into because it's Edgar Wright. Like Quentin Tarantino, you know exactly what you're getting into. Edgar Wright has this style of editing, fast action, just witty comedy, and you immediately know that you're going to be in for a treat when you watch these movies. And Edgar Wright, as a director, never disappoints. If you look back on his filmography, all of his movies are just grade A comedies. And this one, it's so far left of what he normally does, but I think it's because it's Edgar Wright. It holds up as something special. How perfect is Michael Cera as Scott Pilgrim? This movie version of Scott Pilgrim is a little bit different from the comic books, but I really like the way that Michael Cera portrays Scott Pilgrim. This whole movie is about relationships. What happens when you're in a relationship to going into a new one, and all the baggage that comes with. Very relatable in my life. I've dated a number of people that were like similar to Ramona Flowers, and I just found it to be extremely charming. Just seeing the character arc of Scott Pilgrim. There's so much more to this movie. I'm probably reading more into it, but it's layered. There's these subtle themes of what love is, what self-respect is, and just overall what it means to be with someone. I don't know. That's the things that I saw in this movie. But aside from that, the action still holds up. Like, I saw this in the theater, and every punch, kick, and sound effect is it's music to my ear holes. Man, it's great. Soundtrack, like I mentioned before, my God. If you haven't listened to the soundtrack, I highly recommend it. It is on par with one of the best video game soundtracks of all time, to me personally. From start to finish, this movie just always puts a smile on my face, and there's always something new that I noticed from watching this movie, and I frickin' love it. If you guys haven't seen Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, I highly recommend seeing it in a theater if you can. It's the way it's meant to be seen. You can watch it on Blu-ray with the best TV that you have. Like, I have a freaking 55-inch, but it's not even... I've got even speakers on the side, but it doesn't hold up to seeing this in the movie theater. It's one of my favorite movies, and it still is on my top 10 favorite movies of all time. I can't give this movie any more praise. It's just a fun, witty comedy directed by Edgar Wright. Other movies I would recommend is the original Mortal Kombat. This movie has a little bit of cheese in it, but I think the original Mortal Kombat movie is one to watch as well. If you want to look for some cheese or just have some fun. So, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Have you seen the movie? Have you played the video game? Have you listened to the soundtrack? Leave all your comments down below. I want to see them. Let me know what you think. Thank you guys for watching. Have a good night.